The woman and her fiancé come home. The cousin is busy exercising. The woman calls out. Cousin says, sorry, I didn't notice. Woman says, I know you are always exercising, but right now we are going to talk about something important. Everyone sits on the sofa. Woman says, we are going to get married and I want you to handle the arrangements. Cousin says, of course I'd be happy. Woman says, my fiancé will help you. Fiancé says, yes, we both will complete all the arrangements together. Cousin says, this is your house, but I will serve you wine. Cousin leaves. After a while, cousin comes into the fiancé's room and says, there's a lot of time for preparations. For now, relax and enjoy me. Fiancé says, you are the cousin of my would-be wife. Cousin says, forget all that, just enjoy. Next evening, the fiancé and cousin are setting food on the table. The woman comes and says, you both seem a little disturbed. Fiancé says, nothing, just preparing dinner. Cousin says, look, you are busy with your work, but don't worry about the arrangements. You have the best organizer. Woman says, really, that's good. How are the preparations going? Cousin says, we have already selected flowers and chair covers. Tell me, what color dress will you wear? Woman says, I'll wear white because it's my in-laws' choice. Cousin says, tomorrow you will meet the designer and finalize your dress. Woman says, tomorrow I have to go out of town. I want to finish my work and then take my honeymoon leave. Fiancé says, I'll go with you. Cousin says, no, let him stay with me so he can get his dress made. The designer is coming tomorrow. Woman says, fine, you complete the preparations. Cousin says, now leave the talk and eat your food. A few hours later, the woman is asleep in her fiancé's arms. Cousin comes into the room. Fiancé says, what are you doing here? Get out. Cousin says, don't worry about your wife. She won't wake up till tomorrow morning. Fiancé says, you must have given her something intoxicating. Cousin says, now just keep quiet. She slips under the sheet. Next morning, the designer comes and says, I have brought a special dress for you. Fiancé says, every dress suits me. Cousin says, come, try the suit in the room. Fiancé and cousin go into the room. After a few minutes, the designer says, let me check why they are taking so long. He enters the room. Cousin is kissing the fiancé. Designer says, oh, my friend, you are always impatient. Cousin says, the suit is tried. Now you get out. She pushes the designer out. The designer sits in his car and calls the woman. I need to meet you for dress adjustment. Woman says, my trip has been canceled. I'm coming home. After a few minutes, the woman and designer arrive. The cousin and fiancé are kissing each other. Woman says, aren't you ashamed doing this with me? Cousin says, I can explain. Woman slaps cousin. Fiancé says, darling, let me explain. Woman says, shut up and get out of here. She pushes the cousin. Fiancé says, listen to me. The woman tears her wedding dress. Woman says, everything is over. Get out of here. Fiancé leaves. Outside the house, fiancé says, you destroyed my wedding. Cousin says, stop it. And don't say I lured you with love, you fool. Cousin leaves. Fiancé says, it's my mistake. I lost my beloved woman for a moment's sin.